Most Canadians think investing is complicated, risky, or only for people who already have money. And although I can make an easy argument for how some of that is true, in this video, I want to explain how it doesn't have to be. I'm Jessica, qualified associate financial planner and best-selling author of Everything But Money, and I started investing when I was only 23 with only a few $100s, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I also knew I wanted to retire one day, and the only way I was going to achieve that was to learn how to invest, even though I found it incredibly intimidating. So I challenged myself to learn what I didn't know, and cut to now, over 15 years later, it's my job to teach Canadians every day how it doesn't have to be that complicated. In fact, investing can be very simple. And although there is risk when you invest, there are ways to minimize it. And lastly, you don't already have to be rich to invest. You can start with very little and over time, build your way to $1 million or more. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the key things you should know about investing as a beginner in Canada, like what investing means, what accounts to prioritize, what you could invest in, the elements of a solid investment portfolio, and so much more. With that said, if you want to go deeper into this topic, since I can only pack so much into one YouTube video, you may also want to check out my Wealth Building Blueprint for Canadians course after this. And not only have I been teaching hundreds of students inside the course for 5 years now, I'm also going to be running, for the first time ever, a live 7-week intensive of the course from February 10th to March 24th. And if you're watching this in the future and missed it, don't worry, I will be doing more in the future. Make sure to sign up to my newsletter to be in the know of when the next one is going to happen. And to learn more about this course, visit jessicamorehouse.com or check the link below. Okay, so let's talk about what investing means. Well, at its core, investing means trading your money for an asset that will grow in value or provide you with a source of income, or both. With that said, it's important to differentiate between investing and speculating. Investing means having a plan, a strategy, and a more long-term mindset for growth. Speculating is more short-term, higher risk, and is more similar to betting or gambling. In other words, things like day trading or trying to pick the next big stock or cryptocurrency to make a quick profit, that's speculating. Now, I'm not a fan of any of that because I've seen with my own eyes, working with clients, how risky it can be and how real people have lost real money doing it. So instead, I encourage you to invest, not speculate. Now, even though I said at the top of this video that investing can be simple and you don't need to have a lot of money to get started, one big mistake I see people make is investing before they are actually ready to do so. And by ready, I mean having these things already locked down. Number one, a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of your living expenses set aside in a high interest savings account. Why this is important is that, well, if you start investing before you've got that cash in the bank for emergencies, what do you think is going to happen when an emergency pops up and you don't have the cash to pay for it? Well, your options are to borrow money that you'll then have to pay interest on, or liquidate the money you just invested, defeating the whole point of investing since it won't have that much time to grow, not to mention the potential tax consequences of selling or making a withdrawal. Number two, have a solid debt repayment plan. Now, some advice I still see floating around is to wait until you're 100% debt-free before you start investing. I do not ascribe to that. I mean, unless it's a specific circumstance, like you've got credit card debt with 20% interest, but you know you can pay it all off in 12 months if you just focus on paying it down, well, maybe then it would make sense to pay it off first, then invest. Though in that case, doing a balance transfer to a card with no interest or lower interest for that time period would be something I would look into. But otherwise, instead, I'd say find a way to consolidate your debts into a lower interest loan or line of credit, make a detailed plan with a due date for paying it all off, then set some money aside in your budget to start investing at the same time, even if it's just a very minimal amount. Again, going back to my experience working with clients, when you're just focusing on paying off debt, especially over a long period of time, you can get into this mode of debt fatigue, where you start to lose motivation and may even get back into debt because of it. But if you have a goal of investing alongside paying down debt, it gives you a glimmer of hope. Hope that you'll not just be debt-free one day, but that once you are, you'll already have a little nest egg built up for your future. And number 3, know what you're investing in and make a plan. This is something I specifically teach in my investing course because, wow, does it seem like beginner investors are just buying random stocks and hoping for the best. And I don't blame them. I get it. It's hard not to get excited and influenced by content creators talking about stocks online. Plus, it's never been easier to invest. It's almost too easy. I mean, within 5 minutes, I could probably open up a trading account, buy my first stock on margin, and that is terrifying. So don't put the cart before the horse, make a plan and know what you're getting into before investing your hard-earned money. Okay, now let's talk about investment accounts because I think this is actually where a lot of people get stuck when first starting out. They feel like, okay, I'm ready to invest, but wait, should I do the TFSA or RRSP, which one? And then they can't decide, and then a year goes by and nothing's happened. So think of an investment account like it's a jar that you put marbles into. Your TFSA or RRSP, those are the jars, and things like stocks or ETFs, which I'll get to in a bit, are the marbles. Well, in Canada, we've got 2 categories of jars or accounts, registered and unregistered. Registered means they are registered with the CRA and have some form of tax efficiency to them. Unregistered, also called non-registered or taxable accounts, are subject to regular tax rules on interest, dividends, and capital gains your investments earn. Now, in general, it's best to maximize your registered accounts before using an unregistered account to take advantage of their more favorable tax treatment. For registered accounts, we've got the TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA. There's also the RESP, meant specifically to save for a child's post-secondary education, and the RDSP, meant to help Canadians with disabilities save for the future. But for now, I'll just stick to the TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA since those are the most commonly used, and I'll do my best to sum up each of these accounts as succinctly as I can in a short YouTube video. Your TFSA, tax-free savings account, allows you to put investments inside it which can grow tax-free. So let's say you invested in ABC stock and it doubled. Then you took all that money out. Well, you don't have to pay any tax on it. The catch is you don't get a tax deduction for any of your contributions. Your FHSA, First Home Savings Account, which only first-time home buyers are eligible to open, allows you to put investments inside it. You get a tax deduction on your contributions, and if you buy a home with that money, well, you don't have to pay any tax on the growth your investments earned inside that account. But if you eventually decide, I don't actually want to buy a home with that money inside my FHSA after years of contributing, well, you're not stuck. You can transfer that money from your FHSA to your RRSP. You won't get a new tax deduction for that transfer. It won't count as a new contribution to your RRSP, but it also will not affect your current RRSP room. So there's no risk of maxing out your RRSP by transferring the money from your FHSA into it. Your other option is just withdrawing money out of your FHSA, then paying tax on any withdrawal. And lastly, there's your RRSP, Registered Retirement Savings Plan. You get a tax deduction for any contributions you make, but once you retire and convert it to a RIF, Registered Retirement Income Fund, when you withdraw money from that account to live on in retirement, then that money is taxed at your full marginal tax rate. So basically, you're deferring paying tax on your investments in the future, but the logic is you'll likely be in a much lower tax bracket by then compared to your working years when you're making contributions. Moreover, say because of those tax deductions you get a tax refund, it is really smart to just reinvest that tax refund. Now, there are so many more details about these accounts I'd love to get into, like contribution limits and other rules, but I will save that for some future videos. But what I'm sure you're really wanting to know is how to prioritize these accounts. Well, it looks different for every single person, so it's kind of hard to say, but in general, for a beginner investor who isn't in a super high tax bracket, I would say TFSA first, then FHSA if you're eligible, then RRSP. But again, it really depends. It's just a general guideline if you just need a starting place. We've talked about jars. Now let's talk about marbles. What kind of investments can you put into these investment accounts? Well, there are a variety. However, the ones that you're likely going to be putting in there are stocks, bonds, ETFs, or mutual funds. Now, even saying that though, I'd probably just point you to ETFs. You see, although, like I've mentioned, it's so easy these days to buy stocks on your own, it's also very risky if you don't have a plan or the expertise to back it up. Bonds on their own can be quite expensive, starting at $1,000 $100 for just one bond. Mutual funds, although they served a purpose and were great for what they were back in the day, well, they typically carry really high fees. Which leads me back to ETFs. They are low cost, easy to invest in, and allow you to invest in hundreds, if not thousands, of different stocks and bonds from around the world. Now, I've got a ton of videos about ETFs and how to build a diversified portfolio, so I'd point you to watch those after this, but here is a quick takeaway. There are lots of things you can't control when you're investing. What you can control are the fees that you pay. So the lower the fees, the more money in your pocket, and also the risk you take. Although there's no way to avoid risk completely when you invest, you can reduce some of it by investing in lots of different things. That means investing in different asset classes, countries, sectors, industries, and companies. And one easy way to do that is by investing in a portfolio of ETFs that gives you exposure to Canadian stocks, US stocks, international stocks, emerging market stocks, and Canadian and US bonds. Or to simplify the process even more, invest in an asset allocation ETF like ZGRO, VGRO, or XGRO. These ETFs has an entire portfolio of other ETFs inside it and give you exposure to global stocks and bonds, but you just have to invest in one single ETF. Now, just as important as having a plan, knowing what accounts to choose and selecting the right investments is knowing what kind of investor you are, because that will inform what your investment portfolio will look like. Now, what that looks like is knowing your goals, your time horizon, and risk tolerance. When you understand these three things, making investment decisions will become so much clearer. Now, starting with goals, ask yourself, what am I investing for? What's this money for? Are you investing for your retirement, your kids' future university tuition, buying a home one day? Your portfolio asset allocation, which just means the ratio of stocks to bonds in your portfolio, will look very different depending on your answer. Next, time horizon. How long are you going to let that money grow? Or when do you need to start withdrawing money from that account? If it's for retirement, it might be decades from now, or maybe next year. If it's kids' university, well, that could be between, 1 and 30 years. Buying a home, well, that could be next year or a decade from now. It really depends. And lastly, your risk tolerance. How much volatility can you stomach in your portfolio? Will you freak out and want to cash out your investments if your portfolio drops by 20 or 30%? Or can you calmly ride out that wave? Now, these are super important questions you need to ask yourself before you start investing. To help, test out an investor questionnaire to find out what your particular investor profile is. There's one I've linked in the description from Zero that you can check out. Now, to close out this video, let me share how you can actually start investing. Now, there are 3 avenues you can take. You can hire an investment advisor who can do it for you. This is the most expensive way to do it, so likely not an option for a beginner. Or you can use a robo-advisor like Wealthsimple, Modern Advisor, or Just Wealth. Personally, this is my favorite option for beginner investors because it's low cost, but you don't have to manage your investments yourself. The robo-advisor does it for you. Plus, they'll invest you in a portfolio of low-cost ETFs, which I love. And lastly, you can go self-directed or do it yourself, DIY. This means opening up a discount brokerage account, like with the Wealthsimple Trade or Questrade, for example. Then you are responsible for buying and selling your investments yourself. Now, this may seem a bit too advanced for a beginner investor, and maybe it might be depending on the situation, but honestly, it is simpler than it sounds, especially if you're just planning on investing in an asset allocation ETF or a portfolio of 4 to 6 ETFs. And this is exactly what I show you to do in my Wealth Building Blueprint for Canadians course. I show you how to place your trades, rebalance your portfolio, make contributions, and understand your returns at the end of the year. But still, for most beginner investors, honestly, robo-advisors, great first entry point into investing, in my personal opinion. On top of that, I'd also remind you not to sleep on any company pension plans or group RRSPs that your work offers, especially if they match your contributions. This is a very easy way to start investing because your contributions get taken right off your pay so you don't even notice them, and your investments are managed for you. Plus, with employer matching, you're earning extra money from your job that you would not get if you did not participate in their plan. So if you have a pension or a group RRSP and you're not participating, join right after this video, sign up. So to recap, investing doesn't have to be complicated, risky, or expensive to do. With everything I shared with you, you can now open up a TFSA with Just Wealth and start investing in a portfolio of ETFs right after watching this video if you like. But I also know that sometimes the fear and overwhelm of getting started doing something that's so new and important can cause some paralysis. Believe me, I used to feel the exact same way. So take your time to feel comfortable before jumping in. Read a few books that will help build your investor confidence, and then set a date in your calendar to take action. And just know, by watching this video till the end, you've already taken your first step. Now it's just a matter of taking the next one. Thanks so much for watching. If this helped you, please like and subscribe, and check out my next video that goes deeper into the world of ETFs.